Okay, we might kick off just for the sake of time management here. So I think you guys will be semi-familiar with this portal based on your current user experience with the other fund that is managed internally for you guys. But there'll be some additional functionality on this one post-migration, especially around all of the transactions that you can complete. So at the top here, you've got all of your overarching client functions. So these menu items will actually pull through details that relates to every single client you have access to. So if you're a support user who's linked to multiple advisors, you'll get the entire client book for all of those advisors. So you've got client search here, create new clients, family fee aggregation search, and new family fee aggregation group. These family fee aggregation groups are essentially set up so that the system looks at the total balance of all portfolios aggregated together and then applies the fees accordingly across all of those members. To create a new client, if you're an advisor, you have these little widgets through the center here. If you're a support user, you do only have the ability to create it via this create new client function. I won't go too far into it today just because it's a pretty follow your nose process. You need to have all of the member details that you would usually have on board following your client fact find. The things you can add later include both a bank account and tax file number for those members, but you will actually have to have them available prior to being able to submit your request for a new account. So if we come into the Access tab here, here's where you'll go to create new users' login details for the support team. Oh, this isn't a good idea. Hold on a second. Let me just log back in. The joys of a test environment. Your new environment will look a little slightly different to this as well. So these new sections are all very different. So back to the Access tab. If we click on Access Management, we want to come into Manage Support Staff User Accounts, create a user, and then enter an alphanumerical login ID for your individual, first name, last name, email, and mobile. This report only in full access is the difference between them being able to essentially just download details that are held on system for that client or being able to go in and update those client details. So that includes investment switches, withdrawal requests, that sort of stuff. They will need to have a mobile number active that they're able to use for a multi-factor authentication code. You can also, if you're an advisor or as your the login person, you can come through and update your details on your password details and manage that all online. The event alert management is auto alerts that are built into the system to help you manage your clients without needing to log in. Some of these are hard coded into the system to make sure that you're across things like binding death nominations that are due to expire. Some of them are actually very helpful with managing term deposits, cash balances, advice, excuse my voice today, advice fees and things like that. As you can see, you can drop down your yes or no here and then save that one and away you go. The other support items that you'll find useful are your training resources. So this is the, essentially it's a library of some PDF training items. And there's also a few videos in there of just processes that are frequently run on system to help you get the team across those things. Obviously, you can reach out to advisor services for one-on-one training as well. The forms links to our external website, so you can download all of those directly off our forms page still. This reporting tab, again, as I mentioned, all of these items are entire client book related. So the contribution summary will show you the contributions received for all of the clients across the book. You can actually download this to a CSV file as well if you wanted to do some data manipulation. So this screen's really useful as you're coming into the end of financial year for people who need to submit a notice of intent to claim after having made personal concessional contributions, and also identifying how far people are to getting those caps reached. Something to remember here is that we're not reverse reporting from the ATO. So this is only data that's captured from within freedom of choice in the life of their account with us. So as I mentioned, you can download this screen to CSV. Anywhere you see this little icon, those details are downloadable. As you've got your financial ending this financial year and the previous two, concessional and non-concessional values across the book there. You've got a similar view for insurance accounts. It's that tabled view of where everybody's up to, essentially, and term deposit maturities, which I don't really think are relevant for you guys either. Activities management is essentially where you will go to manage your existing workflow. So if you've got an account transfer in process, if you've got a new client account in process, once you've created that workflow, the assumption is that you will need to save to resume that workflow to download the forms that you need to have your client sign prior to being able to action it. After you've had your client sign those details, you will come into activities management, open up the items in not submitted that relates to your signed document, and then go to activity. Seems we've got a little bit of a delay here with the internet. So the superannuation account transfer activity that this item relates to was a full transfer. So it's recapping those details that we've entered here. So some of these details were omitted during the original application. We'll then need to add those prior to being able to upload. As you can see, you've got a pre-submission documentation option here. So if I click next, hopefully this works a bit faster than the previous screen. Fantastic. A pension restart is able to be authorised by the advisor and doesn't require a member signature. So if you tick to confirm and then submit, that item will actually process. In the interest of not having another screen delay, I won't submit this one. It gives you an idea of what processes you'll go through when you do have those documents available for you. The other reporting items in here is your advisor fee report. So this is a current or historical reporting function to capture fees that have been paid or are currently being paid across all of the clients that your login relates to. I won't run it for you again in the interest of screens, but I'll show you an example of what that looks like. Can everybody see an Excel spreadsheet now? No one's saying no, so I'm going to take that as a yes. So as you can see, you've got your member details, the fee frequency. The cease date here relates to the final date that fees will be paid. The anniversary date is the end of that 12-month, usually related to a fee disclosure statement period for your internal team as well. So that's a good data analysis option for you when it's coming up to renewal periods, if you align those internally and just validating that everything's looking as it should. The portfolio summary can actually come in here to see who's invested in what. I know for the majority of your freedom of choice clients, you're all in the one investment, so it's probably not going to be something that you will use very frequently. But it does enable you to do a bulk transact. So if there is a reason for you to reinvest out of cash or external managed funds, you can do that all via this screen here. We come back to the home screen. I've just got a client that I will open up for us. As you can see, you've got the client up the top here and then the account layer down the bottom here. These two menus are actually two different menus, very similar to the current user environment. So I won't go through this one because it looks exactly the same as the one you've got, but I'll just show you some of the different items that you'll now have availability for on the account menu. So at the moment, you've got view and manage. Going forward, you'll have also transact on these migrated members. The things you can do include your switch investments, You'll have your ethical global fund here. You can switch from and to in essentially, equal values, basically. So you've got 1,000 here, 1,000 here. As long as these two values meet, you'll be able to submit your next. There is a downloadable document. You don't actually need the client to sign any investment instructions, but the system will make you download it. I wanted to highlight this here for you because it's not bright blue like many other hyperlinks, so you may not have noticed where that document is to download. It's a good audit trail for you to keep this document internally. You tick to confirm that you have spoken to the client about it and then submit. And that switch has now taken place and the portfolio valuation will be updated accordingly. From this account screen, you've got the similar view of all of the ins and outs by investment allocations, account valuation, and all of the BPay details will be for your client right down the bottom here. So important to use the relevant reference codes when making contributions to make sure that they're auto matched. The regular savings plan and investment instructions is something that you'll be able to use to manage where clients' funds are invested on a routine basis. If you come into this screen, anywhere it looks like you should be able to edit, but you can't, your edit button's in the bottom left-hand corner. So the automatic buy and sell and rebalance profiles will be useful for you to make sure that any additional cash that goes in is auto-invested into that global ethical fund. You'll have your fund listed here. Your automatic buy profile will be 100% of that fund, and then any rebalance profile will be the same. You'll click next, download that document, and it will move forward that way. Are you already updating your advisor remuneration on system? No?
What's in, Peter? Are you guys aware of this?
No, because we're not onboarding any clients on here anymore, so we're not really doing anything related to that.
Okay.
Okay, so to renew your advisor service fees, are you taking advisor service fees?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Perfect. So I won't bother doing that one. So what I'll show you instead is your tax deduction for personal contributions. So if people are making additional personal contributions throughout the year, you'll need to come into this screen to let the system know how much of those contributions they want to claim a tax deduction for. So you'll edit this screen, enter the value that you want to claim. As you can see, there's already a value claimed here. This client unfortunately doesn't have any others that are eligible, but we could decrease it essentially. We vary it and then go next. Again, you want to download that document. Any tax adjustment related to the member is a member authorized process, so the client does need to sign this document. So after you download it, you'll be required to come back into the open activity. So I'm going to save to resume this one. Now I can actually see that in the client menu in their activities management. That's this notice of intent to claim that we just did. I can go back to that activity, browse and upload my signed document, hit to confirm, and then submit on system. It'll go through a review process and then be processed and reported back to the ATO accordingly. Account transfer might be something that you use. This is essentially moving somebody majority of the time from super into pension. It takes their existing account environment and shifts it over into the pension without any essentially requirement to pre-fill all of those details or any tax implications. So we're going to create a new pension for this client. You'll have freedom of choice in there for a pension option, account-based pension, and then next. You'll go through client details and account details. Again, I'm mindful that I don't want our screen to freeze midway through this. This is a test environment. It's not necessarily set up for completing details. Because we're doing an account transfer, the system recognizes that this client already exists and pre-populates all of the information that's already loaded in relation to that client. If you do need to edit any of that, you can do that in the existing account prior to initiating an account transfer. So any pension will require a bank account in order to pay those pension details to. If you don't have this bank account on file when you're preparing this application, you can delete this section entirely. You will need to come back in and add it after you've obtained those details, presumably saving to resume to get to the end of this workflow. You can also roll back from pension to accumulation in the same manner. All of these items I think will be very straightforward because you're already using them. I don't know that there's necessarily anything else. Is there any questions or anything that you specifically wanted me to show you outside of what I've already been through? It's a pretty straightforward piece of technology and a follow your nose kind of workflow.
Team, are we good?
I have a question. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
I just want to make sure that the screen that you have showed us is the screen that will be shown in the user or in the user interface.
This is the advisor or power planner office staff view, not the direct member view.
Also, can you show us how is the user interface for the member? So if there's any questions from the member, we can advise them.
I don't actually have a copy of that to log into for you today, unfortunately. The purpose of this particular session was just for the advisor side. I could, if you wanted to go through member directly, I could attempt to obtain a copy of what that might look like at a different date, though. I don't have it today.
Okay, that will be helpful then. Thank you.
Okay. I think Lutfan has a question.
Yes, I mean, I was just wondering, are we gonna get like a guide because with the HISF platform, we had a guide like how to do each type of thing. So are we having a guide, instruction guide for this?
Yeah, absolutely. So these training resources, don't know if this link will work. It doesn't look quite the same now. Let me just open up what your training resource environment looks like for you. Okay, so you can see a web page now with the Acclaim online training resources.
Yeah.
So you've got some documents in here. So in the accordion menus, you how to register, join advisor code, support staff access, green ID consent forms, how to open certain accounts. This cash management stuff is probably not specifically relevant to freedom of choice clients or your HEJAS clients. the claiming tax deductions. That's that notice of intent to claim process I just walked you through, and then Centrelink schedules for any of your pension clients. Fee management, again, if you're not charging fees, it's probably not something you'll use very often. And then auto rebalancing and term deposit instructions, minimal use. But yes, you have quite a long library of options in there for quick refreshes as they come up.
We did have like a PDF guide. So is there any PDF guide with all the instructions that we'll be doing for our customers?
And these are all individual PDFs, so you download
Wow.
them. They're advisor processes though. What sort of things are you looking
Like
for
how to
specifically?
like with the HISF guide, we had like how to do the like adding the beneficiaries, how to run the report, how to do all this, and also as you mentioned before, switching, how to switch the investment options or transfer the accounts, this type of things that we'll be doing. So those are the how to's, step by step how to's procedure. We had a guide for the HISF platform, so I'm just wondering, is there any type of guide like this for this platform as well?
Yeah, that's right. So that's these. So
That's
these help
this.
guides. Yeah. So that's one example. And then your the investment, so the investment switching, so setting up auto rebalancing for managed funds and switching. They're all in there for you as well.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay. I can give you an example of an actual switch for a client. So like I did with the cash, it's out of and then into, but you can rebalance an entire portfolio. Obviously, you'll only have the one investment option. Go 40, 40. And then next. Oh, there's a suspended for transactions one. That's great. Exactly the same process. It's probably repetitive at this point. Is there any other questions though, while I'm running through this one? No? The site itself is very user-friendly. I don't know that you'll have much trouble trying to achieve the management that you run through currently. You do have access to the advisor services team as well if you're midway through something and a little bit stuck. You can call through to 1300 629 787 and speak to one of the team here to assist you at the time.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. I'll upload this recording to a shared location and then send out a link for you later today. Okay.
Okay, all good.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for
Okay.
joining.
Thank you so much, Amy.
No
Thanks.
problem. Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.